Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. Today we're tackling a question that keeps popping up. Is American Battery Technology Company a good time to buy right now? This isn't just any stock, folks. We're looking at a company really right at the heart of this huge global energy shift. It's a super dynamic sector, critical for the future, and frankly, one many of you are asking about. And before we unpack all of that, just a quick word to you, our incredible listeners. If you're getting value from these conversations, please hit that subscribe button, give us a like, maybe leave a comment. Your engagement, it really does help us out quite a bit. And if you're feeling extra generous, consider buying us a coffee. Also, seriously, if there's a specific company you want us to examine next, just drop it in the comments below. Let us know. Okay, so for today's analysis, we're going through the source material you provided, digging out the most important insights to help you get informed fast. All right, let's get into it. Before we even look at the numbers, what exactly does American Battery Technology Company do? Why is it catching so much attention right now? What's their angle?
Yeah, it's a fascinating space. American Battery Technology Company operates right in the core of the battery material sector. So they aren't just, making the final batteries. They're focused on the whole life cycle of those critical metals inside.
Like lithium, cobalt.
Exactly. Lithium, nickel, cobalt, manganese, the key stuff. Their work covers everything from exploring and actually extracting these raw materials all the way to advanced recycling for batteries that have already been used.
Ah, okay. The whole chain.
Right. It's this full spectrum approach that kind of positions them strategically, at least for the long run. And if you look at the bigger picture, the industry trend, this whole sector is just expected to see massive growth.
Huge, because of electric vehicles and storage needs.
Absolutely. Skyrocketing demand for EVs globally,
Mm-hmm.
plus this ever-growing need for large-scale renewable energy storage. So American Battery Technology Company is basically trying to become a foundational piece of that new energy economy, trying to solve those critical supply chain issues that many see as the real bottleneck for electrification.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, the demand side isn't slowing down, that's for sure.
Yeah.
EVs, grid storage,
Mm-hmm.
it's relentless. So, okay, with that big picture, let's look at the fundamentals. What story are the financials telling us right now? Are they, solid or still building?
Well, right now the financial story is very much, it's a company in its early stages, very early. If we look at the trailing 12 months, the TTM revenue, it's quite low. We're talking about $1.86 million.
Okay, that is pretty small for a public company aiming big.
It is. And profitability. Well, the company is deep in the red. Net income is significantly negative, around minus $60 million.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, which translates to an earnings per share, an EPS of negative 84 cents.
So big losses.
Substantial operating losses, yeah. The key takeaway is fundamentally American Battery Technology Company is, burning cash, like a startup, which is pretty common for companies this early, especially in a high-growth, capital-heavy industry like this. They're making a big bet on the future.
But it costs a lot now.
Exactly. It comes at a significant cost today. And while the sources we looked at didn't give specific debt or cash flow numbers, given the negative earnings and tiny revenue, you can strongly infer they're operating with considerable cash burn risk. They almost certainly rely heavily on outside financing, like selling more stock, to keep the lights on and expand.
Right. Which isn't unusual, as you said, but definitely something investors need to be aware of.
Crucial point, absolutely.
So, okay, given those financials, which, clearly point to an early stage venture, how do analysts even start to value this company? Your traditional metrics like the PE ratio, price to earnings, they're useless with negative earnings, right? So how do they approach it?
That's a really important question. Because, standard valuation is tough here. Analysts do provide price targets and forecasts. But what jumps out immediately is just how wide the range of predictions is for American Battery Technology Company. It's huge.
Okay.
So in the short term, like the next 30 days or so, forecasts actually suggest potential downside. Targets are hovering near $1.77 to $2.07.
So negative in the near term.
Yeah, a pretty negative near-term outlook. It suggests maybe a 24.8% potential drop from recent levels. But, and this is the kicker, this is completely different from the 12-month forecast.
Okay. How different?
Very different. That outlook points to strong potential for, significant upside. The average price target is near $8.46.
$8.46 from where it is now.
Exactly. That represents something like a 230% upside from current levels.
Wow.
And some forecasts go even higher, maybe up to $10.62 by late 2025.
That's quite a contrast. Short-term pain, long-term gain, potentially massive gain.
Precisely. This huge gap between the short-term negativity and that big long-term optimism really shows the market anticipating, a possible huge jump in value if the company actually delivers on its ambitious plans.
Right, the big if.
It's a classic case, really. You're betting on a future vision, not the current reality, which means investors have to weigh that immediate risk against potentially enormous rewards down the line.
Yeah, quite the split then. Highlights just how speculative this kind of thing can be. Okay, so we've got the company's mission, its financial reality, these contrasting forecasts. Now, let's switch gears a bit. What about the stock itself? What has it been doing recently? Price action, technical charts? What are those signals telling us?
Okay, looking at the recent price action, American Battery Technology Company's stock has seen a bit of an increase. Modest, but noticeable. Moved from around $2.40 up to $2.56 recently.
Okay, a little upward movement.
Yeah, and what's kind of encouraging, from a technical standpoint anyway, is that some indicators are starting to flash potential buying signals. For instance, the short-term moving average is currently above the long-term average.
Which is generally seen as bullish.
Generally, yes. It suggests the recent price strength is maybe building some momentum compared to its longer trend. We're also seeing positive signs from the MACD indicators. That's a momentum tracker. When those are positive and you see rising volume alongside it, it tends to support the idea of building bullish momentum, like more people are buying and perhaps with more conviction.
Okay, what about downside? Where's the floor, potentially?
Good question. Key support levels seem to be identified around $2.09 and then lowered down at $1.61. These are price points where, historically, buyers have tended to step in so they can offer some downside protection.
But if it breaks below those...
Critically, yes. If it breaks decisively below those levels, that would likely signal increased selling pressure, suggest the bullish momentum might be fading.
Got it. And volatility, I imagine it bounces around quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. It's quite volatile. The measure is around 21.63%,
Yeah.
So definitely not a smooth ride. More like a roller coaster.
Okay.
And the RSI, the Relative Strength Index, that's around 55 right now, which is, close to neutral, but leaning slightly bullish, not overbought or oversold. And interestingly, the broader Fear and Greed Index, which kind of gauges overall market mood, is showing some fear, indicating maybe a mixed sentiment overall for the stock.
Yeah.
Not totally bearish, but not wildly optimistic either.
Right, a mixed bag technically too, it sounds like. Some positive signals, but definitely volatile and with clear support levels to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got financials, forecasts, technicals. But beyond the numbers and charts, what about recent news? Or just general sentiment, upcoming events, anything that could really move the needle for American Battery Technology Company? Any catalysts on the horizon?
Well, it's interesting. There haven't actually been many notable recent analyst upgrades or downgrades specifically for the company itself.
Oh, why is that?
It seems mostly due to just a lack of broad, consistent analyst coverage, which, is pretty common for smaller, earlier stage companies like this and not on everyone's radar yet.
Makes sense.
And the sources didn't detail specific insider trading activity. But anecdotally, social media sentiment seems moderately bullish. Even with the recent price weakness, some retail investors seem optimistic.
Okay, and specific company events, earnings.
The last earnings date reported was back on May 16th, 2025. So there aren't any near-term earnings reports explicitly listed that would act as a, definite catalyst right around the corner.
Right, so maybe we need to look broader than industry stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
American Battery Technology Company is heavily influenced by those bigger industry-wide catalysts. Think about, just the strong EV market growth. Government incentives, like tax credits for EVs, directly boost adoption. That means more demand for the battery materials they're working on.
Right, policy helps.
Big time. Or, significant government funding or infrastructure bills aimed at green tech, especially building domestic battery supply chains. That could be a massive tailwind.
Yeah, bring on production home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's just the basic supply and demand for metals like lithium. If the global supply tightens, maybe due to geopolitics, mining issues, or just soaring demand, that could dramatically increase the value of what ABTC offers.
So commodity prices are key.
Absolutely. And then, longer term, even though it wasn't explicitly detailed in what we reviewed, potential catalysts could be things like breakthroughs in their own recycling or extraction tech, or hitting major production milestones at their facilities, or maybe landing a big strategic partnership with an automaker or a major battery manufacturer. Those are the kinds of things that could really change the game for them.
Okay, so lots of potential catalysts, mostly tied to the broader industry trends and potential future breakthroughs or deals. Now, We've definitely seen the incredible potential here tied to this huge industry shift. But like you said, it's early stage. High growth always comes with caveats.
Yeah.
Let's really focus on the risks. What do investors considering American Battery Technology Company absolutely need to understand? What are the big potential pitfalls?
Yeah, this is crucial because let's be clear, American Battery Technology Company is undeniably in a highly speculative phase right now. The most immediate risks really stem from what we already talked about, those negative earnings and minimal revenue.
The cash burn.
Exactly. They're burning cash. Their ability to actually turn a profit is still, way off in the future, potentially. They're investing heavily, but there's no guarantee of success or return.
Okay, what else? Sector risks.
Definitely. Huge sector risks. Intense competition, for one. There are established battery materials suppliers, bigger mining companies with deeper pockets. It's a tough field.
Right. They're not alone.
Not at all. And technological obsolescence is a real concern, too. This industry moves fast. What's cutting edge today might be outdated tomorrow. Plus, the industry is really subject to commodity price swings, lithium, nickel, cobalt. Big fluctuations can wreck the economics of their operations.
Good point. And regulations.
Big potential hurdle. Environmental permits, mining licenses, changing international trade rules.
Yeah.
All of that can cause delays and add costs. It's complex.
Okay. What about the stock itself? You mentioned volatility.
Yeah, the high volatility is itself a risk. But on the plus side, it seems to have moderate liquidity and pretty large daily trading volume, which means, it is actively traded. You can usually get in and out without drastically moving the price yourself, which helps manage some of that volatility risk.
Okay, that's good to know. Any other big ones? Macro risks.
Yeah, you can't ignore the broader economy. Things like a global recession, changes in consumer spending, hitting EV sales, or even geopolitical shifts disrupting supply chains. All that could derail the demand for EVs and batteries, which would directly hit American Battery Technology Company's growth path.
Okay. So a lot to consider on the risk side. Financial, competitive, technological, regulatory, market volatility, macroeconomic. It's a long list for a speculative play.
It absolutely is.
All right, so pulling all these pieces together now, the exciting industry, the very early stage financials, those clashing short-term and long-term forecasts, the mixed technicals, and all those substantial risks. What's the final assessment here for American Battery Technology Company right now? For someone listening, what's the bottom line?
Okay, so the overall rating, looking across all the sources we examined, it comes out as a 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. Okay.
Yeah, which basically indicates that, look, while the company definitely shows significant promise because of its role in this massive growth industry, it currently just lacks financial stability. The short-term fundamentals aren't strong or clear. So when you think about American Battery Technology Company as an investment, the recommendation really splits based on your timeline and how much risk you're comfortable with.
Makes sense. So break that down for us. Long-term versus short-term.
Okay. For long-term investors, American Battery Technology Company is probably most suitable for those who are willing to take on a high degree of risk, for that potential of multi-bagger returns. Returns tied to that expected huge growth in the whole battery sector over the next, say, 5-10 years.
So high risk, potential high reward, long horizon.
Exactly. And for that group, maybe a cautious entry near or even below $2 could offer a better risk-reward setup. And you absolutely have to be prepared for a long holding period. This is not a quick flip. You're investing in the future potential, not today's results.
Got it. Okay, what about short-term traders?
For short-term traders, honestly, the situation is much riskier, primarily because of that high volatility and the weak underlying fundamentals we discussed.
Right.
So short-term traders should probably wait for really clear confirmation, either confirmation of support holding or maybe a definitive breakout above that $2.56 level before even considering getting in.
And if they do jump in?
Strict risk management. The guidance suggests setting a stop loss just below $1.75 to really limit the downside if it turns against you. And potential take-profit targets might be near $3.30, maybe higher if that bullish momentum really kicks in and holds up. But it's speculative.
Okay, so definitely different approaches needed.
Absolutely. So to sum it up, American Battery Technology Company is high risk, highly speculative, no doubt about it. It's got that promising long-term industry position aligned with huge global trends. But the current financials are weak. The short-term outlook is mixed at best. So it's not really recommended as a short-term buy without extreme caution, doing your own homework, and having a very clear trading plan. However, it could potentially be one of those transformative multi-bagger investments if, again, that big if the company executes successfully on its growth plans and really capitalizes on the market potential, That would align with those more bullish 12-month forecasts, despite the current negativity. It's really a bet on the future, not a safe bet today.
That's a really clear summary, thank you. High risk, future potential, weak present. So as we wrap up this conversation, here's something maybe for you to think about. Given this incredible pace of innovation, the sheer demand in the battery technology space, how much does a company's current balance sheet, the numbers today, truly matter when its future potential is tied to such a massive global transformation? And maybe more importantly, what does that mean for how you assess these kinds of opportunities?
Something to mull over. Thank you so much for joining us for this discussion. We really appreciate you tuning in, and we certainly hope you found this helpful as you navigate the often complex world of investing.